Mindful Flow this evening. Thank you so much for joining. And we are going to be continuing on our series this month of Back to Basics, really taking a deeper look at some of the postures and breaking them down anatomically, offering some new ideas and modifications, and really try to help all of us maybe reach a new and or maybe a better level of enjoyment with these particular poses. So tonight's focus pose is Trikonasana. Trikonasana, also known as triangle pose. Of course, the root trikon. It means three-sided, just like a geometric shape. So in Trikonasana, we really have a pose that is for the whole body. I mean, really a full body extension with arms engaged, with strong legs, with lengthening through the spine. Every part of you is really engaged in Trikonasana. It also helps to promote good balance and stability. It does take a little balance, so it helps you work on that. And not only does it stretch and extend the body, but it really helps to strengthen the legs, the ankles, the knees, the quads. So a lot going on in Trikonasana. I personally love triangle pose. As long as I'm warmed up and I'm ready for it, it's just one of those that really makes me feel alive and engaged. If you have any challenges, or if maybe it's not your favorite pose for some reason or another, feel free to reach out to me afterward. If you're watching this on a recording, you can always shoot me a note or an email, and I'm happy to address anything that might help you in your practice. So to start off with, we're actually going to go ahead and roll down on our back for just a moment. We're going to do some gentle hip openers to start so that we kind of warm up the hip area. And then we'll get into a few warm-up poses, and then we'll start to work on triangle. So to start a practice, just roll down on your back and allow your knees to fall out to the side. We're going to come into a supine bound angle pose for just the first few minutes. If you'd like to bring a support underneath your thighs, underneath your knees to help support, if your hips are still a little tight today, then go ahead and support them as we take these first few minutes. And then I'm going to suggest that you bring your hands to your belly, connect your thumb and your index finger, and place your thumbs right below the navel, opening and fanning out the other four fingers to the side, relaxing your shoulders, upper body down. And then we'll just start to find our breath. Start to relax down, feeling the support of the earth underneath. Feeling the body start to let down from all of the activity of the day. And start to notice your breath in these moments. We bring our attention to the anchor of our breath so that we can allow the mind to take a little rest. Just allow yourself to drop into your body, feeling where you exist in this space, in this physical, present space. If you have thoughts still swirling around your mind that have taken a big part of your day, don't feel badly and don't chastise yourself if they're a little hard to turn off. Minds want to do what minds do, which is to think. But we can override those thoughts by training ourselves to focus. And focus on something that is a little deeper. Right now, deep down into the body. Imagine, if you will, your breath moving in and out of the space between your hands. Your diaphragm is lifting and pushing in that space as it presses on your lungs. So just imagine, if you would, if our bodies were made in a different manner, that the air and the inflow actually is coming in directly into that diaphragm. So moving in and out of your hands, bringing energy into the body and calmness to the mind. Breathe into your hips, relax them down, let them go a little bit more. And then go ahead and take 3 more breaths here, with each of these breaths, I'd like you to elongate the breath a little bit longer than you have been. So just extend the breath on the inhale. And then extend it out through the exhalation. Pushing out all that is left in the lungs. Continuing that for 2 more full rounds of breath. That last round, start to lift your knees up. Bring your feet out to the mat. Go ahead and heel-toe the feet out to the edges of your mat and press your thighs and your knees together in the center. Take the heels of your hand and massage around the outside of your hips. A place where it feels like, you're just releasing now from that deep opening that we began with. Just give yourself a little rub, a little compassionate touch. And then go ahead and bring your knees apart one more time. This time we're going to bring the right ankle on top of the left thigh. Lift your left leg off the mat. Bring your hands behind your left thigh and raise your left foot to the ceiling. Energetically press away from your head your right knee, pressing it toward the front of the mat. So we're just feeling into that opening again now, using a little different set of muscles as we press it forward. And then point the left toe, pressing the toe as high as you can and activating your left quadricep. So left thigh is active and engaged, toe is pointed. Deep breath here. And then go ahead and flex that left foot and hold it there for a couple of breaths. Checking if you all are still with me. I'm just checking because I feel like my connection got lost. Oh dear, it did. Oh gracious. Are we there? Are we there? I'm so sorry. My connection was lost. I apologize. If you all are still with me, I apologize. I don't know what happened, but my connection went south. So let's try to reconnect to where we were. I think I just lost you on that very last part. So come on down to your back again. And let's just go ahead and bring both feet down. We'll start on the left side now. So bring your left ankle to the top of the right thigh. Press your left knee away from the body and lift your right foot up. Hopefully we all got through that second side before, so we won't be too lopsided. But keep pressing that left knee away and point the right toe up to the ceiling. Breathe here, activate that right quad, really feel it engaged, and push your left knee away from your body, just pushing it through the force of the leg, not with your hand. Breathe here. And then go ahead and flex the right foot, pressing the heel upward toward the ceiling. Leg is still engaged. You can really feel that quadricep holding on. And then let it relax. Bring the right leg down, bring the left leg down, and go ahead and roll on up. All right. So come on up to your seat. Yeah, go ahead and just take a seat. I want to do something before we get going too much, because while we're still sitting down. And go ahead and open your legs nice and wide. All right. So with nice wide legs coming into wide leg seated posture, I'm going to do a little experiment. So one of the things about Trikonasana that we're really going to emphasize today is the engagement of the legs. So engaging these quadricep muscles to really support the legs as we come into the standing posture. So as you're sitting here with your legs nice and wide, just let the legs be nice and loose. Let them be like noodly soft. And then I want you to take your hands to one of your kneecaps and just gently, but just play with it, wiggle it around. See how you can sort of push it right and left. It's just sitting there with that synovial fluid. It's very mobile, right? Kneecaps and knees are very mobile. Test the other one. It's the same way, right? They're both very mobile. So one of the things we want to be careful about in any standing pose, but in Trikonasana in particular tonight, is not allowing those knees to be mobile. So as you're sitting here, engage strongly into the quadriceps. So your thigh muscles really engage. Make them do a little work as you're sitting here, nice and hard, muscly quadriceps. Pull them in, and now take your hand to that same kneecap and see if you're able to push it back and forth. My guess is, if you're doing this correctly and you're understanding what we're doing here, then that kneecap is not moving. So you see the difference between having the legs engaged or not. That kneecap is very mobile if these quads are not engaged. This is what holds it in a stable position. So we'll see that come into play as we stand up in a few minutes and we actually work on Trikonasana. But it's a really good example as we're sitting here. So let's just go ahead and take a little stretch so we can get these inner thighs up and stretched. Open your arms wide, bring them up and overhead. Deep breath in, and then take the hands down to your shins. You're going to bring the heart forward as you are hinging from your hips and just feeling a stretch in that lower back. And go ahead and engage those thighs. So really make your legs nice and what we call active. So they're active versus being passive. And carry the heart forward. Play around with the edge of your stretch here. So we define the edge as the place of deep engagement, but before there is any pain. We never want to go past the threshold and into the level of pain. So you can feel a tightness, you can feel an intensity, but you never want to feel any pain. One more breath here. Exhale. And then inhale. Come on back up. All right, we're going to bring the legs straight down the mat now. I'm going to turn and come into another couple of little warm-ups here. We're going to take the right knee out to the side. Bring the right foot into the inner left thigh. As we set up for Trikonasana, I want you to feel your right quadricep rolling to the outside and really press down through the outer hip down into the floor. So you're providing some level of engagement with that right hip. Left leg, again, active. Bring the arms up and overhead. And then fold forward over that left leg by itself now, but still opening that right hip and just allowing yourself to come forward and down. This is also known as head to the knee pose, but I don't want that to influence the way you move into this posture. The head is not reaching down to the knee, it's really more of your belly to thigh. So if we really want to be technical about it, the belly is reaching down, your heart and head are reaching forward. Deep breath in and out. Inhale and come on back up to the top. Place your right hand next to your right hip. Come on up to the kneecap on the right leg. Left arm is going to swing up and we're going to take it over the ear. Breathe into this full extension from the fingertips all the way down to the left ankle. And then circle that arm around once, all the way back up to the top. And 2 times. And 3 times around. Bring the left arm back up to the top and carry yourself back down to your seat. One more time, arms reach up. Exhale, both arms reach forward. One more stretch in Trikonasana. And then come on back up to the top. Let's take that stretch sequence to the other side. Right leg extended down, left leg is bent. Roll that left thigh outward, press down through the gluteal muscle and the hip. And then lift your arms up. Exhale, hinge forward and fold. Again, just kind of testing the waters on your edge. Making sure you don't go anywhere in the pain, but just feeling the beautiful deep engagement as you allow your breath to open the door a little wider, softening the path for the release. One more breath and then we'll lift up. Inhale and come back up to the top. Left hand is going to come behind that left hip. Press the palm down. Come on up to the knee. Arm reaches up first and then comes over the ear. Feeling that full extension from fingers down to ankle. And then let's circle that arm around, get a little mobility in the shoulder once, and twice, and all the way around 3 times back up to the top. And then allow yourself to come back down to your seat, and one more fold forward. Exhaling and reaching your heart over your knee, and opening that left thigh a little bit more. One more breath. All right, come on back up. All right, we've got a couple more stretches before we get into triangle. I want you to be nice and open before we start to really move into refining the posture. So come on to your hands and knees. And let's start off in tabletop. Just get a little bit more mobility in the spine before we go any further. And get some flexion and extension. Press down through those palms and then inhale. Scoop your heart forward. Let your belly drop down and take it to cow. Exhale, let the head drop down, chin reaches to the chest, and your tailbone slightly tucks under for cat. Inhale, bring it back to cow. And exhale to cat. Let's do that 2 or 3 more times. Using the full capacity of your breath as we move in and out of each transition. And then carry forth with that last round, and then we'll meet back in tabletop position again, all fours. All right, from tabletop we're going to bring, let's see, which one do I want to do? Let's bring the right leg forward. Right leg forward between the hands, and then just lift up through that left knee. We're going to come right into a runner's lunge. Remember, your blocks are here for your comfort and support in any lunging position. Use them whenever you like. So stretch that left leg back, and just with the muscles of the feet and the ankles, maybe just rock back and forth a little bit, so that you kind of warm up the feet, warming up the muscles of the toes. We don't ever think about the muscles of the toes, but boy, they really do a lot of work when we engage them with the body. And then what we're going to do is just let that left knee sink down, back down to the mat. All right, so we have the right knee over the right ankle, left leg is down. Just take a breath or two and kind of relax into that left hip, feeling the effects of gravity as that gravity starts to pull on your inner thighs and groin, kind of pulling you down, and feeling that stretch into the left hip flexor. Sometimes these passive stretches can just do a world of work for us, letting gravity do the work and just kind of hanging out while we go along for the ride. All right, so from here we're going to actually take the right hand to the inside of the right foot. Again, you can have your hands on blocks or the mat. And then we're going to heel toe the right foot out. So we're going to point the toes out and then pivot on the heel, and then point the toes out one more time. So now I have my foot halfway off the mat, toes are out, heel is pointing in. So in this position, which is a lizard pose, we're going to hang here for a minute, feeling the effect of this new angle of the hip opening. So now we have the right hip open. You're going to notice how that feels. You're going to feel it coming around the lower back, to the groin. If you want to, you can take your blocks underneath. Maybe bring your forearms down on the blocks if you want to kind of sink down a little bit more and take some of that pressure off of the shoulders. You can just bring your forearms right down on the blocks. We're just going to hang here for a couple more breaths. Awesome. All right, come on back up. Bring your hands back underneath. Heel toe that right foot back up under the body where we started. And then just go ahead and slide it back. Bring the knee underneath. And then press back to a really sweet child's pose. I would recommend opening the knees wide, letting the belly drop down between the knees if that's comfortable for you, and letting your head come all the way down to the mat. Remember pressing down between the two eyebrows. The third eye helps to stimulate the vagus nerve, helps to initiate parasympathetic nervous system, calming mind and body. Deep breath in, exhale. you're ready, come back up to all fours position, and we're going to bring the left leg forward. Go through that little stretch sequence on the left side. So left foot forward, lift your right knee up, and really get a nice stretch in that right leg. Once you've got your lunging position in order, activate the arch of the right foot, the toes, the ankle, and just do a little tiny rock back and forward so you can wake up the feet, helping to build some strength in the arch. Very subtle, but it's good for us. And then from here, we'll let that right knee come back down, but now we're going to let it come down and feel that deep stretch into the right hip flexor. So again, we're just taking it real slow tonight. Pausing to marinate here and there as we allow the body to start prepping and preparing for our focus pose of Trikonasana. So just let your hips sink down. See if you can release the need to hold yourself up and let it just relax. And then we'll take that other variation, bringing the left hand to the inside of the left foot, heel toe the foot off to the side. Now the toes are pointing out, heel is in. Reposition your hands so they're underneath your shoulders for support. And now feel the external opening on that left hip. Breathe and release. If you've done a lot of sitting or traveling, those hips might be a little bit tight, so don't push too far, but hopefully this feels good. You can bring those blocks underneath your forearms again. We're not going to go all the way down to the floor tonight. We're not aiming that direction. We're just going to hang here. Breathe. Beautiful. Let's take one more breath here. And then start to bring yourself back up. Bring your hands to the blocks. Bring your left leg back in place. Come back to all fours position. Open your knees and let yourself sink back into Balasana once again. So in Balasana, we want to feel that tailbone curling and curving down toward the earth. Releasing and relaxing through the sacrum and the lower part of the lumbar spine. Breath in, out. One more breath here. All right, and carry yourself back up. And we're actually going to just go ahead and stand up on mat. So come to a standing pose, just as a standing position. And we're going to talk about triangle, Trikonasana. So I have a few points that I want to demonstrate first. So if you just want to watch, and then we'll have some time to practice together. First of all, triangle, as with everything, begins with the feet. So in triangle pose, we're starting off in a nice wide stance. Feet are parallel when we start. Now, wide is anyone's definition of wide. Wide to you may not be the same as wide to me. Width should be something that you're comfortable with, that you feel relatively stable in. So if you're not wide enough, in other words, if I'm not quite wide enough, maybe like this, as I turn into triangle, it's going to be very hard for me to extend forward because this back leg is not going to give me enough stability. So you do need to have it fairly wide, so you can just kind of come into a nice wide stance that feels good for you. So as we're in this position, we're going to go ahead and we're going to pivot on the front heel and then point those toes toward the front. With the back leg, we're going to lift the ankle up and then place it down a little bit further to the back, creating the angle in the back foot. Then we're going to come around and look at this front leg, and we're going to engage that thigh muscle just as we did when we were sitting down. So you're going to make sure that that thigh muscle is engaged, that your kneecap is pointing toward the middle of your foot. So kneecap pointing toward the front of your mat, right over your toes. So now we have the legs basically in our position. They're planted down from the heel up through the toe. I can feel that support through the back ankle. We've got our strong triangle legs. From here, we're going to be pushing that right hip, we're going back. We're going to push the back hip toward the back of the mat. So let's go ahead and just everybody get into position, and then I want to demonstrate by just having you move along with me. So coming into a wide leg stance, establishing the feet. Go ahead and pivot on your front leg on the heel, point those toes toward the front. Pick up the back heel and slightly angle it toward the back of the mat and really suction down through that through the back leg. I don't know which leg you're on, so I'll try not to say right and left. And then engage that front thigh muscle so that kneecap is nice and stable, and we're not going to risk an injury through the knee torquing right or left. So with your legs in place, we've got a good base to our triangle. Just bring your hands to your waist. See where your hip points are pointing. They're pointing at an angle if you've done this properly. They are not wide open to the whole right side of your mat. So I am not trying to turn my pelvis so it's facing the right side. I'm allowing this pelvis to slightly turn in because that is the way we're made. We are definitely going to be moving sideways, but the pelvis has to be allowed to stay in its position, or else we risk compressing and hurting our lower back. We risk hurting that SI joint and doing some pretty bad things to our hips as well. So we really want to let this pelvic bowl just stay in the bowl and not trying to push it toward the outside. But to allow ourselves to really reach forward with the side body, we're going to practice this with your hands on your waist. I want you to just practice what happens when you, and this is for lack of a better term, pop the back hip back. So it's almost like a little attitude, a little popping with the hip. So just kind of practice rolling that back hip, and by hip I mean the hip point, kind of back and forth, and seeing what happens when your pelvis, when you allow yourself to kind of push it toward the back. So you're pushing it back. And when you do, and you're holding everything else into place, then you're going to allow yourself to reach over the side rather than reaching down. So pop that hip back, and then with your elbows out only, let's not even worry about the arms. Start to lengthen through the side body, lifting up through your ribs, and then start to tilt forward with your front elbow reaching forward. And then come back up to the top. So lengthen up and reach forward. And then come back up to the top. So now let's go ahead and add the arms in. So typically, here's where we are in a practice, and I'm telling you, okay, open your arms wide, reach your left arm forward. So with the arms open wide, we're popping the back hip back, and excuse me, that pop's not a very good word, but push that back hip back. And then reach forward with your front arm, but more than even reaching, extend your torso forward. Extend it, keeping the reach going forward. And when you can't extend it anymore, that's when you carry the front arm down and then allow the back arm to rise up. Now, your heart and your head are facing the side of your mat. Your heart is open, your ribs are carried open and up. And then come on back up. Let's change sides and kind of, whoo, that was a lot of standing work on those ankles. You see why we warmed up the ankles as much as we did. All right, so let's try that on the other side. Starting with a nice wide stance. Turning now the other heel so that the toes are pointing directly forward at 90 degrees. Lifting the back heel up, slightly pressing it back so we've got the angle in the back, and then engage that front quadricep. Now, we're going to push that back hip to the back. We're going to lengthen through the ribs. Lift your arms if you want to go ahead and add them in, and then lengthen your torso forward, reaching out over your front foot, seeing how long you can get in that torso before you even begin to bring the arms down. And then as you're ready, front arm simply drops down, back arm rises up. And then your hand can rest on your shin, or it can rest on the top of a block. Breathe here, keep pushing down through the back leg. Don't forget that back leg for support. And then lift back up. Beautiful. All right, this is a little more difficult to do online and virtually than it was when I was in the class today with everybody's bodies there in front of me. So please reach out if you have any questions or concerns. And yeah, I think those are the basic points I wanted to get across. And so let's just do a little practicing now with some triangle and put that into motion. We'll try to go nice and slow tonight so that you can really incorporate maybe some of those new cues that you hadn't thought about before. All right, so let's everybody start at the front of the mat. And let's bring the arms up and overhead. We'll just flow a little bit, arms reaching up. Exhale and forward fold, Uttanasana. Deep inhale allows your hands to slide up your shins, flatten out your back. Exhale, hands back down and fold. Walk your feet back to downward facing dog. Take our first downward dog of the evening. Lift both hips high. Scoop in with your belly. Press down through the hands. See if you can remember all the things we worked on with downward facing dog. Nice deep breath. Exhale. Let's bring the right foot forward for runner's lunge. We're going to walk the hands around to the left side of our mat and come into a wide leg forward fold now. Let your head drop down. Lift and feel the engagement in the thighs and in the inner thighs in particular. Coming up to your fingertips, lengthen your head forward. Exhale, fold forward once again. Inhale, plant your left hand down, carry your right arm out to the side, and then take it to a little twist. Feeling that beautiful stretch in the left inner thigh. Exhale, right hand comes down, left arm sweeps up to a beautiful twist. Exhale, left hand comes down. Bring your hands to your waist and lift all the way up. Pivot on your right foot. Carry those toes forward. Place the back heel down, preparing for triangle. Bring your arms forward and back. Push that left hip back. Engage in that right leg. And then lift up through your ribs, reaching forward with that right hand. I always say, pretend that you're reaching for the hand of a friend. Oh, you're trying to reach them. And then when you can't reach anymore, bring the right hand down and let the left arm float up. Hand can be on a block. Either way. Beautiful. Lift yourself back up. Go ahead and bend the right knee, and we will be in Warrior Two. Take the left hand to your thigh, reach the right arm up, take a little side bend to the back. Exalted Warrior. Come back to Warrior Two. Carry the left arm forward, step to the front of the mat. Inhale, arms reach up. Exhale, dive forward and fold. Inhale, lifting halfway up. Exhale and fold. Step it back to downward facing dog. Both hips rising high and pressing those thighs to the back of the mat. Inhale and bring the left foot forward. Carry it all the way up to the front for runner's lunge. Walk the hands around to the right. Wide leg forward fold with parallel feet. Let your head drop down. Exhale. Inhale and lengthen. Exhale, fold. Inhale, lift up to fingertips. Right hand stays down. Left arm, take it up for a twist. Exhale, swing that left arm down. Replace, right arm sweeps up for a twist. Exhale, right hand, both hands are down now. Bring your hands to your waist and with control from your core, lift yourself up all the way. Beautiful light. Open the arms, 5-point star. Breathe in. Relax and release. Turn the left toes toward the front, pivoting on that heel. Pick up that back heel. Create the angle in the back foot. Strong legs, front thigh is engaged. Push that right hip back. Lengthen through the side body, especially the underside. So if you really think about lengthening those front ribs on the left side forward, that's the whole key. And then allow that left hand to come down. Right arm floats up. Beautiful Trikonasana. Beautiful geometry. Face is looking toward the side. I'd prefer if you didn't try to look up. That's not necessarily good on your neck. So let's keep the head looking sideways. Beautiful. Lift all the way back up. And now bend that front knee. Take it to warrior pose. Right hand back to the thigh. Left arm reaches up. Exalted warrior. Bring that arm back forward again. Swing the right arm around to meet the left. Step forward. Inhale, up Urdhva Hastasana. Exhale and fold. Inhale, lift halfway up. Exhale, fold forward. Step back again to downward facing dog. Deep breath in. And exhale out. Inhale, come down to your knees. Exhale, take it back to child's pose. 3 full breaths here. Reset. Rebalance. Refresh. As you're ready, come back up to all fours position. Curl your toes under, lift it up to downward facing dog. Take the right foot forward, runner's lunge. This time we're going to drop the heel of the left foot and we're going to start to straighten the right leg. And I would advise to go ahead and add one of your blocks in here. We're going to bring the right hand on top of the block, just on the outside of your right leg. Right leg is now straightened. So we've created our triangle legs from the ground up, from the base. Bringing the right hand to your block. This time I'm going to take my left hand and I'm going to sweep my ribs open to the left. At the same time, I'm pushing back. That's that same action with the hip, pushing that left hip to the back. And then let my left arm carry upward. So I've simply created the same pose, just in a different order of operations. Still lengthening forward with my ribs and my head. Breathe. Beautiful. Stand all the way up. And then we're going to carry it right back down. So push that left hip back. One more time to practice this. Hand reaches out and then comes down. Bend the right knee. Left hand comes down. We come right back into a low lunge. Hopefully you're following this. I know it's a lot of instructions. And then carry the right leg back. Press back to downward facing dog. Take one full breath here. Exhale. Inhale the left leg forward this time. One more practice round on the other side. Drop the right heel all the way to the mat. So we're already positioning that right leg for our triangle feet. Make sure you've got a block nearby for the left hand and start to straighten that left leg. Palming the block on the outside of the left foot. Now take your right hand under your ribs. Help them to open up as we roll them to the right, and you push that right hip toward the back of the mat. And then allow your right arm to carry all the way up. And again, here we are, beautiful Trikonasana. Nice deep breath. Lift all the way up. And then we're going to go right back down. Push the right hip toward the back. So pop and roll that hip backwards. Reach out. Lengthen. Windmill the arms down. One more time. Here we are in triangle. And then go ahead and bend that left knee. Let the right hand come down. One last downward facing dog. Press and stretch both hips equally toward the back. And then both knees come down. Take it to Balasana, child's pose. Release that lower back all the way down. Beautiful. All right. As you're ready, come on back to your seat. We're going to roll down on our backs. Should feel nice after all that standing work we did. And first, just hug your knees into your chest. And then we're going to cross the right leg over the left. So right thigh is going to cross over the left thigh. And then just take your hands to your knees and ever so gently squeeze your knees down into your chest. So push them down so that you're feeling that release through the inward rotation of your hips. So you're pressing those knees down into your chest. Not hard, just enough. And then if you want to, you can take your hands and slide them down your shins and just ever so slightly make a little tug on your feet. So you're tugging them in opposite directions. This is called shoelace pose. So imagine tying your shoelaces and then tugging those little ears. That's what's happening here. Relax into those hips. As much as you can soften into them, you'll just create extra release and stretch. And release your hands. Go ahead and unwind your legs and turn them the other way. So left thigh crosses over the right. And then first we'll just sort of let them come down into the chest. Just sort of pull them down a little bit. I feel that really deeply. I trust that you probably do too. And then again, if you want to tug on the shoelaces, you can just carry your hands down a little further to the shins, the ankles, or even the feet. It makes my legs quiver. Does that do the same for you? Got a little quivering going on. That just tells you we used them. We used them today. All right, release your hands. Relax. Go ahead and take one hand on top of each knee and just make a few circles around, really small circles, massaging the sacrum. Just allowing yourself to feel good there. Work out any last little kinks. And then circle the other way. Just going to be able to relax those legs down. Let them extend all the way down your mat as we set up for a few minutes of restful and peaceful Shavasana. I always encourage you to, as you drop into Shavasana, just take note of all the different sensations that you're having in the body. Noticing what the practice has done for you. Getting the warmth, little buzz or vibration. And then bring your focus inward. Bring those busy thoughts away for just a few more minutes. Perhaps imagining yourself floating on a raft. Floating on top of the river. And just letting the current take you where it will. practice, you can bend your knees and hug them into the chest. Rock back and forth a couple of times. And help yourself up to a seat. And together we can lift our arms up, reach them overhead. Carry them down to the heart center, connecting mind, body, and spirit. The light in me is honored and grateful for the light within you all. Thank you so much for practicing with me. Om Shanti and Namaste. Thank you so much. Good job, and let me know if you have any feedback or